officially diagnosed with depression?
I was officially diagnosed with depression in college. I think it was my sophomore year of college.
Hmm.
Um, and it was actually because it was kind of unrelated, but it was during like an appointment
Hmm.
concerning like anxiety, and then they
Hmm.
like sent me off to go like talk to somebody.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like classes were getting to me, and then I went to go
Yeah.
speak to somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, man, you're depressed, dude."
The way you said that
you
was hilarious.
So I was like,
Like
yeah.
you're
I mean, well,
depressed.
like it was just kind of like one of those things where it was like, yeah, man, like this, there's like an underlying thing here, and
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, that kind of makes it kind of tracks. So,
Yeah.
um, that was like somewhere around like sophomore year of college. That's when I kind of figured out when they kind of let me know, and I was like, okay, so got to deal with it, battle it.
How are you currently coping with your depression? Because that was back in college, but obviously I'm sure you've graduated since then and moved on with your life. So how are you currently coping with your depression as of now?
Right now, I cope with it and um, I use drawing as kind of like a way to, um, kind of like get out my emotions and feelings.
Nice.
Normally when I draw, I'll like write notes as to the reason for the drawing and like other things and like sketching things.
Hmm.
Um, and I also use like photography as a way to kind of like, you know, as another outlet.
Yeah.
Um, I I like the way that capturing people and like having the camera in front of somebody can capture the best of them
Hmm.
sometimes. Um, and those smiles and those memories kind of
Hmm.
I live vicariously through them. Like not, I like seeing them smile and seeing them happy,
Yeah.
um, and just helping them find their best moments.
Mm.
And then if all else fails, I have a motorcycle. I'll take out my motorcycle and go for a ride, and
Yeah.
then usually at a few miles per hour with nothing but the wind and nothing but focusing on just riding
Hmm.
will do the trick.
Mm.
Just your own little world
Hmm.
for sure.
Those all sound like really great outlets. You have drawing, photography, and then all else fails bike. So, what would you say that you do on your really bad days to cheer yourself up? Do you lean more towards the bike, riding your motorcycle, drawing, photography, or something else?
On my really bad days, photography is almost at the back of my mind. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
Um, it used to be at the front of my mind, but I just think that time away from practicing kind of listen to the people around me. My friends will never let me stay in longer than a day, so I'm always really just doing something to kind of keep my mind off, like to keep the darkness away, the dark
Yeah.
clouds.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just really having that support system. I
Hmm.
have people in my life that really want to see me smile and
Hmm.
want to help me be like authentically happy, not just visibly happy, because there's a difference, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, so people can visibly smile and still feel bad,
Hmm.
still have those intrusive thoughts and everything else like that, and not really feel the best.
Hmm.
Um, I really can't describe it. Um, having that support system is important, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like many people feel that way that, having close friends that genuinely care about you, that want to see you genuinely happy is very important because if you don't have that support system and you're just going through life, but you're not really, happy or yourself, that can be really dangerous. And that's why a lot of people even take their own lives. And it's so terrible how, you know, the suicide rate just keeps going up higher and higher, because there's some people out there that just feel all alone and don't have that support system. So they turn to the wrong things, and it's just so sad.
It's just kind of hard because like friends, and then like out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm just staring off in a different direction and I'm not present. I'm like, dude, I have no reason to feel this way. I have no, like, I don't know what it is, man, but like, I'll just be there and um, I'm just, I'm just in it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Nobody can really see it. And then, well, like if somebody does see it and then they're like, oh man, what are you thinking about? What's wrong? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I have no idea. I honestly do. I have no idea. I just am not happy. You know what I mean? What am I gonna say?
Yeah. Depression is different for everyone. For some people, it's more obvious. Like some people might self harm, and then, you know, like sometimes depression is depicted like having a dark room, all the blinds shut, and, you know, being look like having a look of being depressed. But sometimes depression can be people that look seemingly happy all the time, but inside they're really not, and they're just dying inside mentally because they're just fighting this fight that we can't see internally. So we never should like take for granted or assume that that happy people can't get depressed, because it's very, very much so a thing, and you won't always recognize it or see it just from looking at a person that looks seemingly happy all the time.
I normally always say like it's the happiest people, or the people that, not the happiest people, but the people that make you smile the most, that oftentimes are the ones hurting the most as well.
Yeah.
So just like the lead singer for Linkin Park. I mean, you see
That's
videos of
mm-hmm.
him and like a day before he killed himself,
Mm-hmm.
or the day before he unalived, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he was he was happy with family and having a good time, laughing, smiling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I said before, right? Those dark times, the bad times are really, really bad. Like it's kind of a darkness and a sad place that you can't really explain to anybody. It
Mm-hmm.
just washes over you really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, like even there's even times where like the people close to me will like try to see what's wrong. I really can't guide them. I really can't help them or even begin to try to help them help me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sometimes I do it without even trying, and that's awesome. But sometimes there's really just no.
Yeah. How does depression affect you personally as a creative and a person, would you say, on a personal level?
It takes me away from what I like, from what I love doing.
Yeah.
Um, and it worries the people around me, and I'm sure it doesn't make them feel too great. Um, but like I know that when I'm really in it, like I won't touch my camera. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually using my camera right now to speak to you. But
Oh, cool.
and then the thing is like that's the first time I've taken it out in
Mm.
probably a month. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Um, not just yeah, about a month, and I wanna use it more and get
Mm-hmm.
back into the swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially now that I have a little bit more time to go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, yeah, when I'm really in it and when it's really bad, I I don't do the things that I love. Drawing, it's taken me a long time to get back into drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and sketching and learning that skill all over again.
Yeah.
Um, Photography is another thing I really want to get back into because I when I was doing it, it was an amazing thing, and it
Mm.
still is.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure.
and yeah, so I mean, it just takes me out of the things that I love, and the things that I love doing are to talking to people and making people smile, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that when you're not happy yourself or when you're not really feeling up to it, up to the task.
That's very true. And if you do it, then obviously it's just all fake smiles and you're not really being truly authentic or yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
So how do you combat that negative self-talk and being overly critical of yourself when you're like in a depressive slump?
Delusional levels of self-confidence and self-love. Like I think I think that's kind of where that I think that's kind of my remedy right there is like um I always say that everybody is the main character of their own story, right? And
Mhm.
nobody pays attention to the side characters. And I think when I flip it on its head and I make it so that everybody, even like the people that are side characters, are like main
Mhm.
characters in my world.
Mhm.
Um, it kind of changes things, right?
Yeah.
And then so like I'll be out and about, and I won't let myself have a moment to get caught in like a negative thinking. Like last night I went out to Publix to grab some ice cream, and
Mhm.
then see a guy in pajamas,
Mhm.
go into the store. So immediately I'm like, that's what I gotta do. I'm dressed in sweatpants. I gotta go ahead and dress up and so he could hear me. And then when he's laughing about it, I'm gonna laugh about it because I know that that's a great one. It's a great idea and it's funny. And it's post COVID. It's too it's too the time like it's we've already had time to we'll be worried about everything. Like now we just need to not care. So I'm gonna wear some pajamas and like I'll go up to anybody and talk to anybody, include
Mhm.
them in any conversation I'm having if they're even like within earshot, if they
Yeah.
even look remotely interested. Um, and I think like just going about it, knowing that like you know life is too short to not have a good time. So why not just talk to everybody and meet everybody and have crazy levels of confidence and crazy levels of like just talk to everybody,
Yeah.
love yourself. Um, and I just keep telling myself that over and over again, even if it's hard. So even if I'm not really feeling like talking to somebody,
Mhm.
I'll force myself to do it just
Mhm.
because that's my character when I'm not you know
Mhm.
when I don't have my moments and my mood dips. And then I just make sure that that's pretty much that's like the ultimate solution
Mhm.
for me.
Would you say that a lot of creative people suffer from depression? What would you say?
Um, I wouldn't say that a lot of them suffer from depression, but I feel like depression can definitely find its way into the creative industry. I think a lot
Mhm.
of creatives can sometimes find themselves feeling depressed or alone or alienated um, in this space, just because not everybody's creative.
Mhm.
Um, you meet people in life that are sometimes incredibly literal,
Mhm.
or their thing is mathematics, and you show them a picture that you're stoked about, or you show them an art project, or
Mhm.
um, something that you created with paints and charcoal or whatever,
Mhm.
and then they look at it and then they're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. You know, that doesn't necessarily feel great. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and that's just the reality of the world. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I think that there's like a pressure after a certain point, which I think that we might have spoken about briefly before the interview,
Mhm.
but I think there's like a pressure to create. Like there's definitely like a real pressure sometimes to produce something, because if you don't produce something, especially in this hyper social age with social media,
Mhm.
um, it's almost like you really just don't exist. You're not doing what you say you're doing.
Yeah.
um, you can be a photographer, but if you haven't posted something in like 2 hours, are you really a photographer? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy because you know, I'll give you an example. I'll give you like an example. So I'll go on Twitter and I'll try to have conversations with photographers all the time. Real conversations, not just like, here's a picture, look at me, right?
Yeah.
Not just like, oh man, like awesome caption picture or NFT picture or like whatever's going on now
Yeah.
in the space. I actually have a conversation because I think that those conversations matter more than putting out a pretty picture, right? I think the creator matters more, and what the creator is doing in that space matters more than the type of photos that you're producing. Because if I'm being honest, nobody is doing anything new, right? I think everything that's been done in photography has been done, and there's only going to be easier and new ways to take photos, right? um you know, taking photos with shadows has been done, taking photos in bright light has been done, taking photos with like certain poses has been done, and everybody's doing it because it looks good, and that's not bad. um and if there are people that are actually innovating and doing something a little bit different, then hats off to you. What I'm saying is that the photos that I'm seeing are all the same.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm not seeing changing is the amount of conversation that people are having with each other. And so I think that's where the depression falls, right? Is like somebody might find themselves feeling alienated because they can be trying to have a conversation with the person, and the person is only interested in promoting their latest photo. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Or you'll be trying to like network with a model or something, and um, there's like a whole slew of like challenges in doing that because like, you know, the model is obviously very attractive, um, or used to being approached. Um, you'll try to like, you know, hey, like I would love if we can like network together or do something or whatever, or grab lunch and discuss like business or talk shop or whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's the challenge of like, okay, well, if in my instance, like if you're a male photographer, there's been so many other male photographers that have done not so many great things in the industry. They might be apprehensive. Like there's just like so many barriers in that authentic relationship, which a lot of people our age and younger value, which is like authentic relationships, especially with dealing with social media. And you know, when you find yourself not able to establish that with people that are like you, it can really it can really make you feel alone. And I think that could be the kind of the vehicle towards some sort of mild depression or just depression in general. But I wouldn't say that creatives in general, like a lot of creatives like suffer from depression, or I would say that creatives in general could be just highly susceptible to depression for those reasons and a multitude of other things.
What advice do you have for creatives or even just people in general for how to cope or combat depression?
First of all, be open and communicate with the people around you. It's okay to have those feelings. They're normal. Um, and then, you know, something that I learned when I actually traveled was that a lot of times people, when we're in survival mode or when we don't give ourselves time to think, like it comes out in different ways. And so like I think I would much rather it come out in its most pure form. That's why I call it the most pure form, is when you're actually like in this like deep sadness. And um just be honest with people, talk to people. And then to keep, you know, to combat that, I would say go out and be out in the sun. Be out in the sun. Don't be indoors. in the darkness. Like if you're inside and you see that it's dark in the house, like turn on a light. You'll find that your moods will be a little bit brighter as a result. That's not by coincidence. Darkness is kind of like the enemy, really, in all kind of senses of the word. Even now, you're looking at my room. It's brightly lit and the blinds are open, and I can see the clouds, and it looks beautiful. And just start your day right. Eat something. Get yourself into a routine and don't break it is another thing. Do the things that you love to do. So even if you have to specifically carve out time to do things you love to do those things. If you like taking photos, and like I'm practicing it too, so don't trust me, I know how hard it is, but if you want to take pictures, right? Carve out 30 minutes to take your camera or take your phone or whatever and take a photo of anything. It doesn't have to be artsy, but just take a photo and then have it. If you want to do anything else, get out and go for a walk. Even if you have to go for a walk somewhere else, not around your neighborhood because maybe you don't want to, take your car, drive somewhere, and then go for a walk there. And just do something, and you'll find that you'll be a lot better off.